Howdy, church. Roger Chance here. I'm the facilities director here at Heights Church, and I'm so glad that you can join me today as we dive into another Summit Up devotional. This week we've been doing the thread of restore. So I want to tell you a story about restore. So when I first came to this church years ago, I was a broken man. I was depressed. I felt worthless. I felt unloved. Everything was just falling around my ears, it felt like. I lost my house. I lost my job. I lost my business. And I was in the middle of a custody battle, about ready to lose my son. Now, I started believing all of the lies that I was hearing from others, about I wasn't worthy. If they suggested, recommended, or required me to do anything in the court system, I went ahead and did it. But it wasn't good enough. And so I started feeling that I wasn't good enough. Well, a few months before I came to the church, I had some problems with at the place where I was living, and my landlord was a Christian woman, and she was a beautiful lady that just came up to me and says, can I offer you prayer? And at that particular time, I was desperate. I said, I'll take anything. So she said a beautiful prayer for me, and it was very awesome, And then she emailed me a bunch of information about churches in the neighborhood. Well, I wasn't at my rock bottom then, and so a few months went by. I got even more depressed. I started listening to more of those lies that were coming my way. And it was getting harder and harder until one day I had my son, and he went ahead, and I was very depressed. I was staying in bed, and he went ahead and told me, he says, Daddy, he says, can we at least go downstairs? He says, I'll play, you can just lay on the couch. And I thought, wow, there's the proof in the pudding. I am worthless. I'm a worthless dad. My son is watching me be depressed, and no child should ever have to see their parents in that kind of state of mind. So that day after I dropped him off to his mom's, I was desperate. That was my rock bottom. And so I better try this God thing. I happened to look over and I saw one of the churches, the email that had the churches on it, and it talked about Bayside down here. And so it took me several days still to go ahead, and I walked down here and immediately told everybody, I need to talk to somebody. Well, this is how the enemy works. He goes ahead and fills our head with these lies. And the lady at the front office went ahead and she tells me, she says, well, there's nobody here. And I was so upset. I said, even God doesn't want me, and I started to storm out of there. But this woman, her name is Joy Davis, who I love dearly, was so full of compassion in her eyes. She says, they're just out to lunch. They'll be back in an hour. So I went ahead and walked back home, and I turned around and I came back about an hour and a half later, and she went running through this church and to find somebody to go ahead and come and talk to me. And it was very cool. That was the day that I found Christ. And God doesn't stop pursuing us. He wants you to know that his steadfast love is there for you. His unconditional love is there for you. He wants to restore you back to him. But the problem is, as it says in John 10:10, it says, the thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. But my purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. So you see, I had gone ahead and allowed the enemy to go ahead, steal, kill, and destroy my dreams, my self-worth. My mind, it was so focused on the flesh and what I thought society wanted from me that I lost who I was in Christ. So I accepted Christ that day. I surrendered my entire life to him, including giving him my son, that he would go ahead and make it happen the way he wants it to happen in this custody battle. The great thing is, Jesus wanted to give me that rich and satisfying life. He didn't want me to listen to the lies towards steal, kill, and destroy my life. And that's exactly where I was. I was in the grasp of the enemy. And Satan and Jesus wanted to pull me out of that. And see, God will always continue to pursue you. It's a matter of whether or not you want to go ahead and turn your life towards him. So it took a lot of doing, but I allowed Christ to take over my life, and I was letting my mind I was focusing my mind on the Spirit and not on what the flesh wants. Because when you focus your mind on the flesh, that leads to death. But when you focus your mind on Christ, he gives you that peace and that calm that only he can give you. It goes beyond all understanding. My situation didn't change. I was still in the process of the mediations and the custody battle. But I was not alone anymore. I had Christ on my side, was with me wherever I went. And so, church, this is one of the things that you need to realize, especially during these unprecedented times, when we get down in the dumps and we allow the stinking thinking to get a hold of us, to go ahead and start tearing us down, to put those cracks and focusing on our past. God doesn't want that for you. He wants to restore you. And restore is not just fixing you, it's going ahead and making you back to where he wants you to be, with him, the way you were uniquely and wonderfully made. So, church, we need to realize this and not let Satan or the enemy get a hold of you and steal your joy, your peace. So, what are you focusing on? What is your mind focused on? Stay focused on Jesus, and you will have a rich and satisfying life. Well, thank you for joining me today, church. We love you and appreciate you, and we really do miss you. Hope to see you soon. God bless.